Welcome, my friends. Tonight's story from Exploring English 1 is The Confirmation Suit by Brendan Behan. Brendan Behan truly was a master storyteller. The way he captures that universal childhood mortification about fitting in, mixed with such tender portraits of the working-class Dublin community around the boy. The story manages to be both deeply personal and universally relatable. There's something so moving about how he weaves together the humour, the father's jokes, the grandmother's horror at the sheep's head, with genuine pathos, especially that heartbreaking ending where the boy finally wears the suit properly at Miss McCann's funeral, drenched in the rain. It's his tribute to someone who loved him unconditionally. The authenticity in Behan's voice, the way he captures the rhythms of Dublin speech, the social dynamics of the tenement life, it all feels so lived in and real. Stories like this really do make you understand why Irish literature holds such a special place in the world. There's something about the Irish gift for finding both the tragedy and comedy in everyday life that Behan exemplifies perfectly. The Confirmation Suit by Brendan Behan. For weeks it was nothing but simony and sacrilege, and the sins crying to heaven for vengeance. The big green catechism in our hands, walking home along the North Circular Road. And after tea, at the back of the brewery wall, with a butt too, to help our wits. What is a pure spirit, and don't kill that? Bilzer has to get a drag out of it yet. What do I mean by apostate? And hell and heaven and despair and presumption. And hope. The big fellows, who are now 13, and the veterans of last year's confirmation, frightened us, and said the bishop would fire us out of the chapel if we didn't answer his questions, and we'd be left wandering around the streets in a new suit and top-coat with nothing to show for it, all dressed up and nowhere to go. The big people said not to mind them. They were only getting it up for us, jealous because they were over their confirmation, and could never make it again. At school we were in a special room to ourselves for the last few days, and went round, a special class of people. There were worrying times, too, that the bishop would light on you, and you wouldn't be able to answer his questions. Or you might hear the women complaining about the price of boys' clothes. 22 and sixpence for tweed. I'd expect a share in the shop for that. I've a good mind to let him go in jersey and pants for that. Quite right, ma'am, says one to another, backing one another up. I always say, what matter if they are good and pure? What had that got to do with it? If you had to go into the chapel in a jersey and pants, and every other kid in a new suit, kid gloves and tan shoes and a scoil cap. The Cowan brothers were terrified. They were twins and 12 years old, and everyone in the street seemed to be wishing a jersey and pants on them, and saying their poor mother couldn't be expected to do for two in the 1 year, and she ought to go down to Sister Monica and tell her to put one back. If it came to that, the Cowans agreed to fight it out at the back of the brewery wall. Whoever got best, the other would be put back. I wasn't so worried about this. My old fellow was a tradesman and made money most of the time. Besides, my grandmother, who lived at the top of the next house, was a lady of capernosity and function. She had money and lay in bed all day, drinking porter or malt, and taking pinches of snuff, and talking to the neighbours that would call up to tell her the news of the day. She only left her bed to go down one flight of stairs and visit the lady in the back drawing-room, Miss McCann.